Welcome back. Sansera Engineering is the stock on our radar right now. Well, this is a fairly new listing. It listed on 24th September of 2021. It listed at around 811 rupees. So just pull up the chart for you of Sansera Engineering. The problem, it's 745 now, so it's below its listing price. The issue price was 744, so it is right there at the issue price. The problem has been that the revenue growth is very strong, but it's the margin contraction. Margins have contracted as much as 300 basis points, and the international business for them has been under pressure purely because of the challenges there. Also, debt has been rising, so that's a bit of a concern. BR Preetham, who's the Group Chief Executive Officer of Sansera Engineering, joins us now to talk about that. Sansera, as we know, supplies both to the auto and the non-automotive segments, so they are one of the top 10 global suppliers of connecting rods. Mr. Preetham, good morning and thanks for joining in. I just want to start by asking you about the margin performance itself. Do you think that there could be more pressure in the second half of the year? The margins, in any case, this quarter were down about 300 basis points. And what do you see as the operational performance going forward?
Yeah, morning, and thanks for having me on this show. There has been a margin contraction on Q2, but primarily it's due to the lag effect of the raw material price increase, which was accounted for in Q2, which was primarily between Q1 and Q2. So I would say that while the commodity price increase has been accounted here, there is a effect of contraction in exports also, which has contributed to that. But going forward, we expect that our export revenues will be quite strong in Q4 onwards, because that is what is the indications that we have, and we do not expect any more increase in the commodity prices. So this should be at level with which we should be operating. In fact, Q4 onwards, we should see expansion in our margins.
When you say expansion in your margins, right, if you pull up a 4-year chart, and just going by your own presentation, you did about almost 19% margins in FY21. When can you get back to those levels?
No, we do expect that, as you are aware that the two-wheeler industry, which we have significant presence in, has been going through rough times, and we are just seeing a bit of a recovery in that segment. This also would significantly contribute towards our revenue and our margins. So we see that once as our two-wheeler segment is improving, we have new products which have been added in XEV and hybrid components. Our aerospace business is back on track. So with a better utilization and exports coming back, we should be really looking at a better margins. We have always said our margin profile will be between 17 and 20%. So we expect that as the utilization goes better, we should get back to those levels.
Okay, so 17 to 20% continues to be the margin guidance for Sansera Engineering. Morning. So your H1 revenue growth was very strong at 25%, but we also know that the first half of the year, same time last year, was impacted due to COVID, which pushes up the growth rate for the first half of the year. Could you give us an indication of how the second half of the year, H2 FY23, revenue growth will look like, and break it up in terms of domestic, exports, the auto space, non-auto, EV, any color that you could provide us on demand for the next 2 quarters?
Yeah, you're right. Q1 of last year had an effect of, COVID, but then Q2 was very strong last year. Overall, we have seen a very healthy increase in our revenues in H1 this year. We continue to see that H2 also we will grow. This is primarily fueled by our new component. We have commenced our production for our hybrid components. XEV customers have our businesses now got into mass production. We have also added a couple of key customers like Tata Motors, Force Motors, Volvo Eicher. All these production has started. Aerospace has come back. So we definitely see that H2 is also going to be very healthy growth for us. And we have always maintained that we would grow at least 10% better than the industry. And I would like to, re-emphasize that we will be on that track.
Okay, sir, could you help us with some numbers? It was around 1,200 crores in the first half. If you could take us through what kind of figures you're expecting on the revenue for the second half, because you also did mention that the exports will pick up in Q4. So taking that into account, what could Q3 and Q4 to get?
I really can't give you a forward guidance, but what we expect is overall our growth for the entire year will be in high teens. So we will grow in high teens for the full year.
Okay, grow in high teens for the full year. You know, the other issue that I guess investors are also concerned about is the rising debt. So when your IPO came out, your debt was around 440 odd crores. And right now, as per your presentation, the net debt has risen to 625 crores. Are we looking at more escalation in the quarters to come?
You need to, while our absolute debt has improved, but our ratios have improved much better. So while our business is growing because we are on a very aggressive growth path, our debt to equity ratio has come down to 0.56. So while there is a growth, so there is also requirement for investment. So we have invested close to 250 crore plus last year. Similar amount is being invested this year. All this is going into new technologies like aluminum forging components, XEV components, into new facilities for aerospace. So we are very, very bullish. Our order book is also healthy. I'm sure that investors do understand that this is a growing business and it needs capital.
When do you think your EV contribution can rise to 10% and plus, sir?
No, see, if you look at our new order book, we already have 18% of our business coming from XEV related components. So while we anticipate that two-wheeler in India is going to be aggressively towards EV, Sansera stands to get benefited. We have already added 6 customers vis-a-vis 4 in ICE scooters that we had in this thing. So content per vehicle is also higher. So we do expect that last quarter we have reached 3% of our turnover coming from XEV, which was not substantial, but then directionally it gives a very positive outlook.
Okay. All the best. Thanks a lot for joining in and speaking to CNBC-TV18. That's Sansera Engineering. Hasn't done much for investors. In fact, it's exactly at the issue price, despite being over a year of trading since it debuted on the exchanges. But let's do one thing. Let's slip into a quick break. The market has moved briefly into the red. Nothing alarming, but there's a red tick on the screen. We'll get you more on the markets on the other side of the break. Stay tuned.